Hello and welcome back to Study History with Mr. P. In today's video I'm going to start to look at some of the challenges to the Elizabethan religious settlement, and in this video I'm going to focus on the challenge from both Puritans and Catholics to this settlement. So starting with Puritans. First of all, Puritans had hoped that Elizabeth's religious reforms would lead to more Protestant developments in the church, whereas Elizabeth saw the issue of religion as dealt with by her settlement. Puritan clergymen began then ignoring or disobeying parts of the settlement, and so Elizabeth's aim of uniformity in religious services was not met. There was also something known as the crucifix controversy. So to Elizabethan Puritans, crucifixes represented idols, but Elizabeth liked them and wanted churches to keep them and their familiar look and feel. This was an important part of her settlement because she didn't want to anger her Catholic subjects by changing too much too fast. She therefore demanded that each church display a crucifix. When some Puritan bishops threatened to resign, the Queen backed down. She was unable to enforce her will in this instance and could not afford to ignore their concerns. There was also the vestment controversy, where some Puritans thought that priests should not have special clothing at all. Others believed that it should be very plain and simple. The elaborate vestments suggest that priests were set apart from ordinary people, and this suited the Catholics but was not what Protestants believed. But Elizabeth wanted the clergy to wear special vestments, but not all of the clergy were wearing them, wearing what the Queen had commanded. So in 1566, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Matthew Parker, issued further guidance for priests in his Book of Advertisements. He held a special exhibition to show what vestments priests should wear. Of the 110 invited, 37 refused to attend and therefore lost their posts. Most priests therefore consented to Elizabeth's insistence that special vestments must be worn. So on this occasion, she stood up to the Puritans. Then on to looking at the Catholics and the nature and extent of the Catholic challenge to the Elizabethan religious settlement. So in the Counter-Reformation under Mary I, the Catholic Church had tried to strengthen Catholicism. It persecuted heretics, supported local communities, and encouraged waging of war against Protestants. It tried to tackle the spread of Protestantism by dealing with corruption. In 1566, the Pope then issued an instruction that English Catholics should not attend Church of England services, and there were penalties for not conforming to the religious settlement and punishments for repeat offenders. But the authorities in England were ordered not to investigate recusants too closely, because Elizabeth didn't want to make martyrs of the Catholics, therefore she ignored small acts of disobedience. But there was another issue, and that was of England's nobility and the Catholic threat. So it's estimated that about a third of the nobility and many of the gentry were recusants, so people who didn't follow fully the Church of England. The nobility who stayed Catholic were mainly from ancient families, especially in the north of England. These families lost influence at court when Elizabeth became queen. Elizabeth's favourites tended to be Protestants. In November 1569, the Earls of Northumberland and Westmoreland led a rebellion in the north of England against Elizabeth, known as the Revolt of the Northern Earls, and I'll be looking at this in more detail in a separate video later on. But this included taking down Cathedral and the celebration of a full Catholic Mass. The Earls had essentially rebelled because of their lack of power and influence and were joined by other Northerners and marched south. They appealed to the Catholic nobility, but the vast majority of England's nobles, apart from the Duke of Norfolk, stayed loyal to Elizabeth. On the 24th of November 1569, the rebels were forced to retreat, and the rebellion had been put down successfully, partly by royal troops under the leadership of the Earl of Sussex. Hundreds of rebels were then executed in public displays of crown power that marked a change in Elizabeth's relationship with her Catholic subjects. So this is the first of two videos looking at challenges to religion. I've looked at challenges to religion that came from Protestants and Catholics. In my second video, I'm going to look at challenges to religion from foreign powers.